This is Colin McGuigan for IFLTV. Delighted to be joined by Jamie Moore in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Jamie, I just need to ask you, how good is it to be a United fan after the other day?
Mate, what a key turnaround that was. Um, we actually didn't end up getting tickets, so me and Mikey watched it from our living room, and as you can imagine, we was bouncing around it afterwards.
Good times are coming back, but look, we're here in Saudi Arabia for a massive fight week. I want to talk first of all a little bit about Adam Hamid. Just been announced by Turkey Usyk that he'll fight tomorrow night. When did you get wind of this? And is it something that you encourage, because it's kind of like last minute you're jumping on a show and
The same thing happened Wembley. It was a last minute thing, but he's actually just boxed. He boxed over in Libya, and he got a win over there. So he's active. I'm always happy when fighters are active, especially at that stage of the career. I think I had 9 fights in 12 months when I first turned pro, and it was ace. You know, you feel like you're boxing that regularly in front of crowds and stuff. You feel like you're getting the experience under about what you need. So and Adam's never boxed amateur, so any fights, any type of experience in front of crowds and stuff is always a bonus for him. So yeah, he's coming on leaps and bounds, and there's no rush with him because obviously we need to get that experience under his belt, where he hasn't had from an amateur background. But he's coming on great.
obviously as well, just Matchroom announced this week that Pat Brown will headline his own show in his debut in Altrincham. As a Manchester lad yourself, what does that mean for someone from Manchester to have this opportunity so early in their career?
Mate, well, that's the other side of it. You know, someone who you can't fast track and you need to set your time with him. And Pat is the exact opposite. He's been made for the pros for years now, and I'm not going to say fast track, but certainly move a lot quicker than your normal prospect would. And he relishes the opportunity to top the bill. He's actually made for it. I'm really looking forward to this journey. I think it's a great story. Him coming from Moss Side, Nigeria's amateur boxing club. Him and Conor Tudsbury are both turning pro at the same time. So it's just going to be a great little journey along the way. Now I've got Alfie Middlemiss, who was from my amateur boxing club. They've all are going to be making the debuts. He's just made his debut, and they're going to be making the debut in a few months. So they're all going to come through together. So I think it's a great story, and I'm excited about it.
What's this like, this kind of period for Manchester boxing? Because I don't want to say starved of success, but really starved of, since Anthony Collar, probably the last big Manchester fighter. Yeah. In terms of we've got Jack headline in Manchester now. We've got Pat Brown just signed, Alfie Middlemiss. You've got a lot going on in Manchester now. Is this a new era?
Well, I think late 80s, early 90s, Champs Camp was a gym where it was really sort of coming through, established itself as a good solid pro gym in this country, in England, and I think they had 4 British champions at the same time. So that sort of inspired us coming through. I was only just started boxing 1992, 93. Seeing them,
I wasn't even born yet, by the way.
Yeah, well, there you go, exactly. So like, I was looking at them guys going, wow, if they can do it, you can relate to people who you see sort of as everyday type of people. Then on the back of that, if you can say our sort of era in Manchester boxing came through, where there was Michael Brodie, Michael Gomez, Ricky Hatton spearheaded it all really. Anthony Farnell, I don't want to miss anyone out here now. Thomas McDonough, Mike Jennings, all those type of people coming through, all in the same. Dave Barnes. So in a way, they sort of inspired the next crop, or should have inspired the next crop. And really, you only had sort of Crawler on the back end of that, and then it's gone really quiet. And I'm so excited now looking forward, because Jack is in a position where he's going to be able to top big bills, and then Akib's just coming back now. Akib fears he'll have his first fight back early in the new year, and then you've got Pat, Connor, and Alfie Middlemiss, all from our gym, who are going to come through, and Pat's going to be able to headline next gen shows, and then you've got people like Will Crawler, who I really rate. I don't think people actually anticipated how good he was going to actually be, or how good of a prospect he was, because I just thought people thought it was a bit of a gimmick at first, and I'd seen him in the gym and I said, you know what, he's not bad at all, him, and I'm so happy. He's such a top lad, really nice kid. I got a lot of time for him as well, and so over the next 10 years now, we should have such a continuous supply of boxing where it can be every 3 months. There can be a big show in Manchester where one of them is topping the bill, and the undercard is stacked with talent, and it encourages the next generation of talent in Manchester.
Obviously, you're here as well for Dave Allen, someone you've worked on and off for, I think we discussed before, maybe 5-6 years, something like that. Dave's changed so much. I said in my interview with him yesterday, my boxing journey began watching his IFL interviews with Coogan back in the day, and I used to love Dave Allen. He's like a fictional character of my friendship group, because we all used to just laugh. He was such a lad, right? Then it's got to the point where now he's kind of mellowed out. But what have you noticed about Dave Allen in those 5 years? What's changed?
Mate, he has matured. Everyone, I think, as you get older, you get a bit wiser, and everyone sort of settles down and matures a little bit more. But having kids, having a family, is a game changer. Like, especially if you present, you're there with your kids. You know, you want to be part of the experience of them growing up, and you want to see it all unfold. And then you want to provide for them. Once you're in that position, it's life changing. And I think Dave, the difference I've seen in Dave since he had kids is huge. Like, he's got a responsibility about him, and he's got a purpose now where I think he's looking at it and he's going, this is the reason. I'm still young enough, I'm still fresh enough, and I'm wise enough to still use all the experience I've got and put it into practice because I'm still fresh enough. And now I've got the ultimate desire or reason to apply myself properly. So honestly, I can't tell you how proud I've been of him in this camp, because I've known him for a long time. I've worked with him for 5 years, but I've known him for near on 10 years since he's been on the scene. And it might even be longer than that. I can't even remember when the first time he got on the scene, but I've always found him such a top lad to get on with. But from a professional point of view, I said to him after his last spar, he had his last spar last week and his last big day, I said, by far the best I've ever seen you perform. And I'm so proud of the fact that this could be your last big chance. And it's such a hard fight, and it all could have ended in tears unless you'd have applied yourself in the way you have done now. And he's put himself in the best position he possibly could to win the fight. Johnny Fisher is the type of fighter who could end a fight like that. We all know that, but I've said to him, you stay watertight, don't get caught with anything early, and you've got a massive chance of winning this fight.
Did you see any of my interview with Dave yesterday? Did you see any clips or anything?
No, I've not seen it, no.
So I want to tell you a few of the things that he said. He said to me yesterday in that interview that he has no aspirations for world titles. Just as a head coach of someone who's, I mean, on a massive stage like this, do you find that maybe a little bit disheartening because or do you think that's just refreshingly honest?
I think any fighter who's honest with herself and realistic has got a much better chance of achieving what they need to achieve. So I mean, I've been in similar positions with fighters in the past, like Sean McGoldrick. It's one of my favourite nights. One of my favourite fighters I've ever trained. Love him to bits. He's such a top kid, but he had so many problems with his hand, and it looked like he was never going to be able to carry on his career. And he just wanted to be a British champion. You know, his only ambition, he said, I always want to make sure is I win the British title, and then I'll be content and happy, and I'll walk away. And Lee Eaton pulled it out of the bag, got him a British title shot. It was the most complex, structured game plan I've ever had to come up with, because we could really only use one hand, because his right hand was finished. And the specialist had told him, you've got to be really careful with this, because if that hand goes again, you might never be able to use your hand again. So I didn't want to put him in a position where he couldn't use his hand again. So I had to come up with a game plan where the opponent didn't realise that he was only using one hand, but it was basically all left hand work. And he went and won the British and Commonwealth titles. Now, honestly, it's one of the proudest moments of my time in boxing, and such an achievement, but such a great kid. And that was his only ambition, was I want to win the British title. So I get it. You know, if people are honest and realistic, then you've got more of a chance of succeeding. Like, we know how dangerous this fight is, but I also know that Johnny Fisher's not nowhere near as experienced as Dave, and we don't know what's going to happen if he doesn't get someone out of there early doors, and someone with experience and who's a bit of crafty and wily. How they're going to be able to take him into them deeper waters, and we'll see if he can swim. If he can swim, then fair play to him. But if he can't, then he's going to struggle.
He also said in the interview with me that if he was offered Ajit Kabayel or Martin Bacoli for any amount of money, double career high payday, he would say no and not take those fights. And you hearing that as a coach, I know what you're saying about, you know, you like his ambitions being honest with you, but does that not kind of are you not already starting on the back foot then, because you're not really believing in
So forget this is boxing, yeah. Anyone who knows me knows my thoughts on money. It's fucking awful. It's the root of all evil. Causes more arguments and fallouts than I've ever seen in my life. And for Dave Allen to put his health before money, for me, is the most admirable thing he could have ever done. Like, I'll give you £1 million to get your head punched in, or keep your brains and enjoy your family life for the rest of your life. Like, I'd rather go and work in a building site every week and come home absolutely knackered, caked in shit, so that my kids could jump on me and say hello to me, than me being sat in a wheelchair. Like, the money's fucking awful. I hate it, honestly.
with Dave, there's clearly been a difference in his kind of mindset, right? In the gym, have you seen his performance lift? As obviously you've said, you know, you think he's more mature, but have you seen a change in Dave Allen's performance? Do you think this is the best Dave Allen we're going to see in the ring on Saturday night?
So I can only go off the 5 years what I've worked with him, but the best shape he'd been in was when he fought Fraser Clark, and we only had about 3.5 to 4 weeks to prepare for that properly. And he turned up 11 weeks ago, fitter than he was for the fight. So like, and I said to him when he came, I said, "You're fit, but you need to drop some weight." And he went, "No, I'm on a program. I'm gonna keep dropping it. I'm gonna be around about 18 stone." And I went, "That'll be perfect for you. Like, ideally 17, 10, 17, 12." I said, "But if you're 18, 2 or lower, perfect." And he weighed himself before and he was 18-1. So like, he's in shape, I promise you. And when he's been sparring, a lot of the time, once he gets dragged into a fight, he just loves having a fight. Like, he won't be dragged back out of it, that's it. This is the first, because of his fitness, his conditioning, in between rounds now, when he's had a bad round, which is very rare to be fair, when he's had a bad round, he's adjusted, he's fixed it, he's gone back out, and he's changed and adapted. He's never done that. And that's what I said to him. I said, "You've done everything this camp that I've asked of you." I said, "So you've left no stone unturned. You've put yourself in the best position to win the fight, and I'm proud of you." And I'm proud of him, because it takes some dedication to do what he's done when he's broke the habit of a lifetime of not training properly.
If he was to pull this off on Saturday night and beat Johnny Fisher against the odds, really, because everything's stacked against him, really, and everyone thinks Johnny Fisher's going to walk through him, what would you like to see for Dave Allen? Would you encourage the Fraser Clark rematch?
I'm not against the Fraser Clark rematch. I don't think he did himself justice in the first fight. But again, like, I'd like Dave to walk off into the sunset somewhere, or some, you know, putting Dave in with like someone like Bacola is so underrated, and he can punch. He can really punch. You know, I'm not against Dave going in there with someone who's not a massive puncher, who's a good, solid, well-skilled boxer, and give him a chance and let Dave use his experience and stuff. He's probably still got another year or two in the game, you know, where he can still perform at his best. If that's the case and he gets well paid for it, then, you know, obviously, I'm going back to, we were talking about money. It's awful, and it is. But everyone needs to earn money, and if Dave can earn money, the risk reward, what I'm saying to you, has got to be right. I don't blame him. If he's going to turn £1 million down to fight Bacola, they could offer me 10 million quid and I won't do it. But don't tell Billy Nelson that, by the way. But yeah, if he can continually earn good money for the next couple of years and be in competitive fights where he's at, that's why I admire the fact that he's saying, I don't want to be at world level fighting people, because he don't feel like he's there. And if that's the case, he needs to be able to compete and perform, give himself a chance to win. And if he doesn't, then you don't. But at least he's not out of his depth. Earn some good money for his family, keep himself nice and comfortable, and then get out. The main thing is get out healthy.
I'll get your thoughts on the main event, Jamie. Obviously, Tyson Fury's coming into this one with a point to prove. The rematch against Oleksandr Usyk. How do you see it going on Saturday night?
So, the way before the first fight, I'd always thought that someone like Usyk, who's got the IQ of Usyk, you don't try and match him in boxing skills. And in all honesty, Fury did early on. He matched him. He was nip and tuck. He probably took the first part of the fight. But Usyk's so smart. By the midpoint, he just starts to work you out, and his timing gets better, and he finds ways in, and he gets your rhythm, and he gets closer and closer. And then by the time he was getting towards the end of the fight, he was running away with it. And if he's allowed to start the fight like he finished it last time, then I feel like he'll run with it. And I always thought Fury would use his size, the fact that he's, even though for such a big guy, he's a good body puncher, and we've seen a little bit of vulnerability with Usyk downstairs. I always thought he would drag him into a dogfight and work him downstairs. And if you can get Usyk tired by the midway point, regardless of whether you're winning all the rounds, he's fatigued. Someone can only be technically as good as he is if you're in control of the tempo of a fight. And if Fury drags him into a dogfight, works him downstairs, which seems like it's going to be the best tactics, and can make him physically tired by the midway point, then I feel like Fury will win the fight. But if he allows Usyk into his rhythm early on, I think he'll just pick up from where he left off last time.
Well, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but one more question before I let you go. We've seen online today, I don't know if you've seen it, Arnold BARBOZA's gone back and forth about Jack Catterall saying that there's still things to be ironed out. Ring walk, he's talking about walking second, all this. What do you make of that?
Yeah, listen, I've heard that they're close to a deal. And I'm not part of the negotiations, so I don't know. I just get filled in by Sam Jones every now and again. But
doesn't sound too good. Get filled in by Sam Jones every now and again.
Oh yeah. He won't be filling me in, by the way. But I just think, I know for a fact Jack Catterall's not got an ego. So if you're talking about who's walking first and blah blah blah, I know what Jack's like. Jack will just go, I couldn't give a flying fuck. Just.
Well, I said that to Sam today, right? I said, like, Jack doesn't seem like the type of guy would even care about that. I just say, oh, whatever, you do whatever. But he said, actually, there's no way Jack Catterall would let BARBOZA walk second in Manchester.
But and fair play, and rightly so, I believe, and that'll be Sam. Sam will be saying, there's no fucking way Jack Catterall's walking first. And I get it, I understand. So I think we had to do something similar with last time, where Jack walked first, but got announced second. I just think it's neither here nor there for me. I think it's a great fight. I really like the fight for Jack. BARBOZA's had some really good wins, but you know there was that one fight where Sean McComb where you just thought he got beat on points and he got it. I would love it to be for the vacant title, because no one really knows what Teofimo's doing, and I've always said I like that fight for Jack as well. You know, Jack's always wanted to fight the best, and I feel like Jack's got the type of style what would give Teofimo Lopez problems. But if he's not going to fight at the weight again, I don't see the point in him holding the belt up. And I'm just hoping that by the time, if the fight gets made today, before the fight date, I'm hoping that something happens in that scenario where if he's going to move up, he moves up, the title becomes vacant, and them two end up boxing for the vacant title. Hopefully that can happen.
Well, Jamie, I really appreciate your time on IFL, and we will catch up again this week. Appreciate it, man.
Cheers, pal. Nice one.